You've all seen The Matrix, and you've seen Morpheus, played by Larry Fishburne, or for Keanu Reeves, who plays Neo, the red or the blue pill. You take the blue pill, you go back to sleep, you wake up, you believe whatever nonsense you want. You live in Gaga land, in a third dimensional matrix. Or you take the red pill and you wake up, really wake up, and you find out how deep the rabbit hole really goes. Well, folks, consider the page Phoenix Speaks, the red pill. If you can't handle the truth, get off this page now. I'm the real deal. I don't just talk the talk. I walk the walk. I've seen and done everything possible. I've done almost 200 internet radio shows on Kinetic Hi-Fi, originally with Bob Charles, with Tammy Texas before she got sick, prepping for the New World Order. And also, now I do every Friday with Clay Douglas on the Free American Hour on freeamerican.com. Why? I'm a conspiratorial expert, probably one of the most controversial speakers in America. I know what I'm talking about. I've been there. I've seen all walks of life. The rich and the affluent, yeah, I've lived that way. The poor, yes. The prisons, yeah, I've been there too. I've done it all. As my timeline says, I'm a poet, a philosopher, a revisionist historian, a martial artist, a warrior, a comedian, and an actor. And right now I'm not acting. I'm telling you the God's honest truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You have been had, taken, hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, mesmerized, and mind-fucked, and put to sleep. And if you don't wake up, your children, their children's children, so on down the line, will spit or urinate on your graves for your consummate gullibility, naivete, and stupidity and ignorance. You've all heard the statement, only the truth will set you free. Yeah, know the truth and the truth will set you free. Well, let me say something bold and blatant. That statement was cut in half by the Jews who altered your Bible. Yeah, those heinous and insidious Jews, because the real saying, what Jesus really said, and if you did the research that I have done in my life, you'd know in the much older books than that phony fake Bible. Jesus said this, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. For it is only truth that can set you free from the consequences of your own inveterate gullibility and ignorance. Yeah, folks, it's time to wake up. So today we're going to start with wake up number one, American elections. I've done this video before. You may not have heard it, but you'll hear it now. There are no elections in America. There are only selections. Let's go back to 1992 as an example. George Bush, who was a shoo-in to win, or so everyone thought, that is the masses thought, was a 33rd degree Freemason, and still is, a member of the Bilderberg Group, a member of the Trilateral Commission, a member of the Skull and Bones, a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, all conspiratorial organizations. He was running against Bill Clinton. Who was Bill Clinton? Same deal. A 33rd degree Freemason, member of the Bilderberg Group, member of the Trilateral Commission, member of the Council on Foreign Relations, all conspiratorial organizations. Bush, of course, came from wealth. The Bush family and the Prescott family. trillionaires or multi-billionaires. I say trillionaires. Where was Bill Clinton from? You think he was a poor boy off the streets who went to college? Come on, folks. His mother worked in the Winthrop Rockefeller mansion, where she got knocked up by Governor Winthrop Rockefeller, left. Was support Bill Clinton and her were supported all their lives by Winthrop Rockefeller. Yeah, folks. Clinton is the bastard son of Winthrop Rockefeller. Look at the pictures when they were both in their 40s. You'll see the resemblance. Know the facts. That's why I refer to him as Slick Willie Rockefeller, because he is a Rockefeller. What else do these two guys have in common, Clinton and Bush? Well, Bush, if you did your homework, you'd know he was a major drug dealer for the CIA and for his own corporations. In fact, if you knew the truth, in the 60s, there was a colonel by the name of Bo Gritz. Bo for Rambo. This is where they got the character Rambo. You should Google him. You should see all the medals he had. They put him in prison for 10 years. He was putting the bodies on the plane from Vietnam to come home with the dead soldiers that died for nothing. What a shame. If I didn't get busted at the time, I could have been one of them, because I was rah-rah, gung-ho to go. You know, hooray America. What a jackass I was at the time. Just a wild kid. But he was putting the bodies on the plane, and a CIA director came up to him and said, "Are the drugs in the bodies?" And Rambo said, "What do you mean drugs?" He cut open the body and there were no drugs. He says, "I told you, get the bodies off the plane. Nobody gets home unless we ship the drugs back." Bush is a big drug dealer. That was George Bush, by the way. George Bush Sr., Poppy Bush. Clinton was also a big drug dealer. Google that. Major drug dealer. All involved in the Oliver North deals with the Iran-Contra, the whole bit. They were shipping the drugs over to Mena, Arkansas, where Clinton was governor. Clinton had 53 kids murdered. Wake up. There was no election. It was a selection of two guys. However, the global elite needed to get Bill Clinton in as president, and I'll tell you why. They needed to get the free trade agreement or NAFTA passed, wherein every country would be able to negotiate or trade with America for free, but we would have to pay. That's what they call free trade. They needed to get this going so the big businesses would leave the country and outsource, do business in another country under the guise that they come back when all was well. Nonsense. What they really wanted was to start the war on small business. Now, you couldn't notice there was a war on small business in the 90s after NAFTA because of the refinance craze. I know, I was a correspondent lender doing in loans anywhere from $3 to $6 million each month, gross loans. These people who borrowed the money spent the money. The money spent during the 90s was not from earnings, except for the people who sold money like I did. It was from the people who financed their homes, who really didn't have the equity to refinance, but the appraisers were all bought off. That's the way of the world. Everything is a conspiracy. So you had the election coming. They didn't want Bush in, and they told him, and Bush knew it too. He was promised his son would get in after the Clinton era and reign for 8 years. And Bush knew he had to step down because he could never get the Democratic trade unions to go along, the labor unions to go along with the NAFTA agreement. You needed a Democrat for that. So you had the Democrat Clinton. But how do you get Clinton in against Bush? Bush was known. Clinton was a relatively unknown, except for conspiratorial experts and people who know what's really going on, such as I. So they got they got a third party involved. They got their good old boy Ross Perot, who came out and talked a lot of good shit. Sounded great. Didn't mean a word of it, however. He ran, of course, as an independent. There are no independents. There are no Democrats. There are no Republicans. They are all Republicrats. It's the same party, friends. So you went out and made fools of yourself and voted for Clinton or Perot. And the votes were taken away from Bush. This way they knew if they couldn't rig the election, in the event that they couldn't rig the election, they already did through covert, very subtle means. It's the way it's done. So there are no elections in America. That's your first lesson, folks. And if you can't handle that truth, get the frack off this page. Because I will insult you. I will offend you. And if you say anything that I don't like, I'll not only unfriend you, that's shit, and block you, that means nothing. I'll embarrass you by name. I will find out, because I have the means, your home address. And I'll embarrass you on Friday, where over 100,000 to 200,000 listeners listen every week to me talk when I go on Blog Talk Radio. Yeah, friends, if you're a liberal, if you're a supporter of Israel, if you like the U.S. government, in other words, if you're not a fucking out-and-out rebel, you're going to have a fucking problem with me. Trust me.